The 1990s gave us cinema that could roar and whisper. Some films became icons overnight. Others faded, buried beneath box office noise. But in their shadows, quieter treasures waited. Stories rich with beauty, heartache, and truth. Today, we dust them off. 20 forgotten 90s gems. Ready for your eyes again. 1. Lone Star, 1996. A body buried in the desert. A sheriff haunted by the sins of his father. Lone Star opens with a sun-bleached shot. The Texas horizon stretching endlessly, heat shimmering, secrets stirring. John Sayles crafts a mystery that's less about the crime and more about the layers of history beneath it. Sheriff Sam Deeds, played with quiet intensity by Chris Cooper, navigates a town where every handshake holds a memory, every silence hides a story. The film weaves racial tensions, generational divides, and the blurred lines between law and legend. It's a tapestry of voices, each telling their own version of the past. Released in 1996, it earned critical praise but modest box office returns. In a summer dominated by alien invasions and disaster spectacles, its contemplative pace felt almost rebellious. Sayles doesn't chase adrenaline. He lets the truth reveal itself in fragments, like bones unearthed by wind. What makes Lone Star endure is its moral ambiguity. Heroes have shadows, villains carry wounds, and the land itself, endless, unyielding, holds the memory of every choice made upon it. Watching today feels like rediscovering a great American novel left out in the sun. 2. The Sweet Hereafter, 1997. Snow falls gently over a small Canadian town. The air feels still, and then a school bus skids, plunging into icy water. The Sweet Hereafter isn't about the accident spectacle. It's about the silence that follows. Ian Holm plays Mitchell Stevens, a lawyer seeking to represent grieving families, but his presence stirs more than legal questions. It pulls at private wounds, long buried. Based on Russell Banks's novel, Adam Egoyan's adaptation is as much about the fragility of community as it is about loss itself. The film unfolds in fragments, moving between before and after, the living and the gone. Sarah Pauli's haunting voice, like an echo across a frozen lake, anchors the story in a kind of mournful poetry. Released in 1997, it won critical acclaim and awards, yet never reached mainstream audiences. In an era of booming blockbusters, The Sweet Hereafter offered stillness and asked for patience. Its beauty lies in what's unsaid, in the long pauses between words. Revisiting it today feels like walking through a winter landscape where every footprint tells a story. 3. The Apostle, 1997. A preacher on the run, a man seeking redemption in the only way he knows. The Apostle, written, directed, and starred in by Robert Duvall, opens with the kind of southern heat you can feel through the screen. Cicadas humming, gospel music rising, and a man wrestling with God and himself. Duvall's Sonny Dewey is charismatic, flawed, unpredictable. When his life collapses in scandal and violence, he flees, adopting a new name and starting a small-town church in rural Louisiana. What unfolds is part confession, part resurrection. The sermons burn with a raw sincerity rarely captured in film. Released in 1997, The Apostle earned Duvall an Oscar nomination, but its humble, independently financed production meant it never reached wide commercial success. It wasn't flashy. It didn't court controversy for the sake of it. It simply told the truth about faith, weakness, and the human need to be heard. It remains a masterpiece of performance, a film that understands redemption is never clean, never easy, and never too late. 4. A Midnight Clear, 1992. Snow drifts quietly over the Ardennes forest. It's World War II, but A Midnight Clear doesn't roar with battle. It hums with the uneasy quiet between. 6 young American soldiers, weary and wary, encounter a small group of equally tired German troops. Instead of bloodshed, they consider a truce. Directed by Keith Gordon, this 1992 adaptation of William Wharton's novel is both anti-war and achingly human. Ethan Hawke, Gary Sinise, and a young Peter Berg deliver performances that feel lived in, stripped of Hollywood gloss. It's about soldiers as boys, cold, scared, and longing for home. Released quietly, it was overshadowed by larger war epics and action-heavy narratives of the era. Yet, its gentleness is its power. War here is not glory, it's exhaustion. And the choices made in the snow echo louder than any gunfire. Watching it now feels like finding a love letter in a battlefield journal. Fragile, unexpected, unforgettable. 5. Safe, 1995. A pristine suburban home, white carpets, perfect gardens, and a woman who begins to disappear, not physically, but from herself. In Safe, Julianne Moore plays Carol White, a San Fernando Valley housewife whose life unravels after mysterious physical symptoms. Headaches, nosebleeds, suffocation leave her grasping for answers. Todd Haynes directs with eerie precision, framing Carol in wide, empty spaces that make her seem smaller with each scene. Is it environmental illness, psychological collapse, or something deeper? A sickness of the soul in a world too sterile to breathe in? Released in 1995, it puzzled audiences and critics alike. Too unsettling to be drama, too quiet to be horror. Over time, it's become a cult classic, studied for its commentary on isolation, gender, and the invisible dangers of modern life. Its ending offers no comfort, just the soft hum of unease, the kind that lingers long after the credits fade. 6. The Spanish Prisoner, 1997. A man in a gray suit steps off a ferry, clutching a folder as if it were a lifeline. In The Spanish Prisoner, that folder contains $1 million corporate secret. And in David Mamet's precise, deceptive world, nothing is as it seems. Campbell Scott plays Joe Ross, an honest man in a dishonest game, seduced into a web of cons by strangers with charming smiles and impeccable timing. Steve Martin, in a rare, chilling dramatic role, is the smooth-talking stranger who may be friend or trap. Released in 1997, the film's intricate dialogue, clip delivery, and labyrinthine plot baffled audiences expecting more traditional thrillers. Yet, Mamet's craftsmanship, the precision of each word, the deliberate withholding of truth, turns the movie into a masterclass in paranoia. It's a film about trust, greed, and the ease with which certainty dissolves. Watching it now, you can almost feel the walls closing in. 7. Smoke, 1995. A Brooklyn cigar shop. Mornings thick with tobacco smoke and the smell of fresh coffee. In Smoke, Augie Wren, Harvey Keitel, takes a photograph of the shop's corner at the same time every day. The people change, the light shifts, the corner remains. Wayne Wang's 1995 film, based on a Paul Auster story, is less plot than tapestry. Characters drift in and out. A grieving writer, a streetwise teen, a lost lover returning. Their conversations linger like the aftertaste of strong espresso. It premiered to critical warmth, but modest box office, eclipsed by the decade's bigger dramas. Yet its beauty lies in its stillness. It's a film about noticing, the way a shadow falls on a sidewalk, the way a story changes in the telling. Watching Smoke today feels like sitting in a favorite cafe, overhearing the kind of conversation you'll remember for years. The Limey, 1999. A man steps off a plane in Los Angeles, an Englishman in a black suit, carrying grief like a weapon. In The Limey, Terrence Stamp plays Wilson, an ex-con who has crossed the ocean to find the truth about his daughter's death. Steven Soderbergh cuts the film like memory itself, fractured, looping, pieces revealed out of time. Peter Fonda, playing a slick music producer, becomes Wilson's target. Their dance is one of menace and melancholy, two men haunted by different pasts. Released in 1999, it didn't make much noise at the box office, overshadowed by flashier thrillers. But its use of Stamp's younger film clips to evoke Wilson's past was groundbreaking, blending cinematic history into character memory. It's a revenge film, yes, but also a meditation on regret, aging, and the truths we can't undo. 9. The Last Days of Disco, 1998. A Manhattan nightclub in the early 80s. Sequins, champagne, whispered gossip over pounding bass. Whit Stillman's The Last Days of Disco captures the fading glow of a cultural moment, the last flicker before the lights go out. Chloe Sevigny and Kate Beckinsale star as publishing assistants navigating friendship, romance, and ambition under the glittering smoky haze. Stillman's dialogue is crisp, arch, and quietly hilarious. It's less about the music than the shifting tides of class, taste, and youth itself. Released in 1998, it faced lukewarm box office and the shadow of Saturday Night Fever's legacy. Yet its wry charm and subtle melancholy make it richer with each revisit. It's about knowing you're living through an ending, and dancing anyway. Today it plays like a love letter to fleeting eras, and the friendships that burn brightest just before they fade. 10. A Simple Plan, 1998. Snow falling thick over a frozen Minnesota field. 3 men find a crashed plane. Inside, a dead pilot, and a bag holding millions in cash. A Simple Plan, directed by Sam Raimi, starts like a dream of fortune and spirals into nightmare. Bill Paxton, Billy Bob Thornton, and Brent Briscoe play friends bound by greed, fear, and loyalty. Each decision pulls them deeper into a moral swamp where no step is safe. Thornton's performance, fragile, heartbreaking, earned an Oscar nomination. Released in 1998, it was praised by critics but drowned in the year's bigger thrillers. Its quiet devastation, its refusal to glorify crime, made it a slow burn rather than a spectacle. It's a story about how quickly ordinary lives can unravel, about how the snow can hide and reveal. Mid-roll call to action. If you've felt that flicker of recognition, that pull towards stories the world forgot, then you're in the right place. Subscribe now so these quiet treasures never slip past you again. 11. The Ice Storm, 1997. A gray Connecticut sky, trees stripped bare. In the ice storm, winter settles not just on the landscape, but on the people. Directed by Ang Lee, this 1997 drama unfolds over Thanksgiving weekend in 1973. Yet it feels timeless, a portrait of families cracking quietly under the weight of their own lives. Kevin Kline and Joan Allen play Ben and Elena Hood, a couple whose marriage is fraying in ways neither wants to face. Their children, played by Tobey Maguire and Christina Ricci, are caught in their own turbulent awakenings. And then, an ice storm descends, freezing everything in place, revealing the fractures beneath. The film captures a period when suburban comfort was just a thin gloss over deep loneliness. Released to critical acclaim, but limited box office, it was overshadowed by flashier dramas and comedies of the late 90s. Ang Lee's pacing is deliberate, the mood thick with unspoken tension, making it a film for those willing to lean into the silences. Its imagery, frozen branches glittering under streetlights, breath hanging in cold air, mirrors its emotional truths. The storm comes and goes, but the chill between people lingers. Revisiting it now, it's a reminder that the most shattering events are sometimes whispered, not shouted. 12. The Painted Veil, 1999. A misty Chinese river at dawn, lantern light trembling on water. In the 1999 version of The Painted Veil, Edward Norton and Naomi Watts bring W. Somerset Maugham's novel to quiet, aching life. This is a story about betrayal and the slow, almost imperceptible growth of love. Watts plays Kitty, a restless wife who follows her bacteriologist husband, Walter Norton, to a remote Chinese village ravaged by cholera. What begins as punishment for her infidelity becomes a journey into compassion, humility, and unexpected connection. The film's visual beauty, sweeping hills, fragile bridges, rain falling like threads, is matched by its emotional precision. Released quietly in select markets, it never had the marketing push of bigger romantic dramas, but its strength lies in its restraint. It's not about grand declarations, but about the small gestures that speak louder, a shared glance, a hand brushed against another in passing. It's a meditation on forgiveness, not the kind shouted across a room, but the kind that grows like ivy, slow and sure. 13. The War, 1994, a dusty Mississippi summer, the hum of cicadas, In the war, Kevin Costner plays Stephen Simmons, a Vietnam veteran struggling to rebuild a life for his family while carrying invisible wounds. His children, led by Elijah Wood in one of his finest early performances, find themselves caught in a neighborhood rivalry that mirror in their father's own battles. John Avnet directs this 1994 drama with a blend of nostalgia and grit. It's about the little wars between kids, between neighbors, within one's own heart. Costner's performance is tender, haunted, the kind that shows how a man can be both strong and deeply broken. Despite heartfelt storytelling, the film barely made a ripple at the box office. Its themes of loss, resilience, and moral choice were out of step with the mid-90s appetite for slick thrillers and high-concept comedies. But time has been kind to the war. Its moral lessons feel even sharper now. It's a film about how peace isn't something you're given. It's something you build, one hard choice at a time. 14. Bullets Over Broadway, 1994. The curtain rises, lights flare, and somewhere in the wings, a gangster with a typewriter is rewriting the show. Bullets Over Broadway, directed by Woody Allen, is a witty, razor-sharp comedy set in 1920s New York, where art and crime collide. John Cusack plays David Shane, a playwright desperate to see his work produced. The catch? His backer is a mob boss whose untalented girlfriend demands a lead role. Her bodyguard turns out to have an unexpected gift for dialogue and a ruthless sense of what makes a scene work. Released in 1994, it earned strong reviews and awards recognition, but its longevity has been muted by the sheer volume of Allen's filmography and the decade's flood of comedies. What makes it endure is its satirical precision, the way it skewers vanity, ego, and the fragile line between inspiration and interference. It's a reminder that sometimes the muse wears a fedora and carries a gun. 15. Dead Man, 1995. A man in a black suit rides a rattling train into the wilderness. Johnny Depp is William Blake, not the poet, but an accountant, in Jim Jarmusch's Dead Man. What follows is a surreal, black-and-white odyssey through a mythic, decaying West. After a violent encounter, Blake is wounded and drifting, guided by a Native American named Nobody, Gary Farmer, who believes him to be the reincarnation of the real Blake. The film is part Western, part dream, part meditation on death itself. Neil Young's spare, echoing guitar score acts like a heartbeat in the emptiness. Released in 1995, it was too strange for mainstream audiences and too quiet for traditional Western fans. Yet over time, it's become a cult masterpiece, studied for its hypnotic pacing and existential undercurrents. Every frame feels like a photograph from another world, one where time slows and the line between life and death blurs. Or 16. The Player, 1992. A Hollywood executive receives a postcard. No return address, no signature, just a threat. Robert Altman's The Player opens like a noir set under California sun, where palm trees sway over pools of ambition and betrayal. Tim Robbins plays Griffin Mill, a studio exec who lives in a world where every conversation is a pitch, every friendship transactional. When he believes a rejected screenwriter is out for revenge, paranoia begins to seep into his smooth, calculated life. The satire is razor-sharp. Cameos from Hollywood royalty blend seamlessly with the fictional industry vultures circling for the next big hit. Released in 1992, it was critically acclaimed, winning Altman Best Director at Cannes, but its biting portrait of Hollywood politics made it less a crowd-pleaser and more an insider's dark delight. Its brilliance lies in the way it turns the dream factory into a thriller backdrop, where careers and lives can be ended over a bad weekend. Revisiting it now feels like watching a prophecy, one that predicted how the industry would swallow itself whole. 17th Kundun, 1997. Wind sweeps across the Tibetan plateau. Prayer flags ripple in the thin mountain air. Martin Scorsese's Kundun tells the story of the 14th Dalai Lama, from his childhood discovery as the spiritual leader to his exile from Tibet. The film moves like meditation, deliberate, graceful, rich in color and ritual. Scorsese eschews traditional narrative beats, focusing instead on moments. A child's wonder, the weight of robes on small shoulders, the sound of monks chanting against the hum of an encroaching army. Cinematographer Roger Deakins captures landscapes so vast they seem to stretch beyond the frame. Released in 1997, Kundun was quietly buried, its distribution muted by political pressure from China. Audiences never fully discovered it, yet its artistry, Philip Glass's transcendent score, the authenticity of its Tibetan cast, makes it one of Scorsese's most visually poetic works. It's not just a biopic, it's a prayer in motion. 18. Dark City, 1998. A man wakes in a bathtub, no memory, a dead body nearby. Outside, the city never sees daylight. In Alex Proyas's Dark City, reality bends, streets shift, and mysterious figures in black coats move like shadows across the skyline. Rufus Sewell stars as John Murdoch, accused of murder in a world controlled by alien beings called the Strangers, who rearrange the city and people's identities at midnight. Jennifer Connelly and William Hurt round out the cast, their characters caught in a puzzle that blends noir mystery with science fiction surrealism. Released in 1998, it was overshadowed by The Matrix a year later, despite exploring similar questions of reality and identity. Its meticulous production design, oppressive atmosphere, and haunting score give it a dreamlike permanence. Watching it now feels like stepping into a painting of night that you can't wake up from. 19. The End of the Affair, 1999. Rain lashes against London streets. In The End of the Affair, Ralph Fiennes plays Maurice Bendrix, a writer consumed by jealousy and memory. Julianne Moore is Sarah Miles, the woman he once loved and lost. The affair between them is both passionate and doomed, unfolding in the shadow of war. Neil Jordan's 1999 adaptation of Graham Greene's novel moves between present and past, love and obsession. Moore's performance earned her an Oscar nomination, her portrayal layered with guilt, longing, and unspoken vows. The cinematography bathes scenes in candlelight and shadow, making even a quiet conversation feel charged. The film didn't break box office records, but its emotional precision, its refusal to offer simple answers, makes it resonate years later. It's not about whether the love story ends happily. It's about how deeply it leaves its mark. Some loves are storms. This one never stops raining. 20th. The Straight Story, 1999. An old man climbs onto a riding lawnmower. It's not a quirky sight gag. It's the start of a 300-mile journey. David Lynch's The Straight Story tells the true tale of Alvin Straight, who drove his mower from Iowa to Wisconsin to reconcile with his estranged brother. Richard Farnsworth, in one of the most quietly moving performances of the decade, plays Alvin with dignity, humor, and stubborn resolve. Sissy Spacek co-stars as his daughter, lending warmth to the home he leaves behind. The landscapes pass slowly, cornfields, sunsets, rainstorms, each mile a meditation on time, aging, and forgiveness. Released in 1999, it surprised audiences expecting Lynch's surreal darkness. Instead, it offered simplicity, a slow-moving, deeply human road movie. It's proof that even the smallest journeys can carry the weight of a lifetime. By the time Alvin reaches his brother's porch, you realize the trip wasn't just across states. It was across years of unspoken words. The 90s were more than box office titans and pop culture icons. They held quieter treasures, films that whispered their truths and trusted us to listen. Seek them out. Let them linger. And if you love rediscovering what the world forgot, subscribe, like, and join us for the next reel of hidden gems.